And I don't know about you, but for many, many years, as I walked around and doing the work that I've done over the years in corporate and also in wellness, it always seemed as if I was holding my breath, waiting for the proverbial shoe to drop. And it didn't matter where I was in the world. It could be at home. It could be, at a destination in the world that I came from in the cruise industry. But I began to recognize that literally holding my breath was directly affecting so much of my body and my overall health and wellness. And not just my overall health and wellness in the physical body, but also the mental side of life. So when it comes down to it today, as I have learned through much, my learning has come from the world of yoga. And my favorite saying is, if you want to change your mind, change your breath. And if you want to change how you feel in a moment where you feel stressed or upset or with anxiety or with panic, change your breath. And it's something that's so simple, something that we take for granted. But, when you begin to bring awareness to your breath, it opens up a whole new world of opportunity to explore really how you're feeling. It helps you process feelings so that they don't stay in the body and the body psychology as emotions and then become these energetic hooks that keep us tied to the past, the pain of the past, and keep us tied to fears and fear of the future. So if you're at a point in your life, as we journey into the realm of breath work, understand that by changing your breath, just by deepening your breath, you can increase your vitality. Breath is actually the best caffeine on the planet, and it's free, and it doesn't have any side effects except to make you feel really good. Changing your breath can kickstart your metabolism, so you burn fat, and improving your breath can improve your sleep. It, as I said, it enhances your energy. It helps you manage stress, helps you manage your emotions, and it really helps to rebalance the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic with the parasympathetic. And I'll be using some breath techniques towards the end and guiding you through some tutorials of how different types of breath can really help you in different scenarios. But first, a little bit about breath work itself. And when it comes down to breathing, like I said, it's something we all take for granted. I mean, do you really think about when you breathe during the day? No, it's just there. But in fact, we can only live 3 minutes without air. We can live 3 days without water, and we can live only 3 weeks without food. So of those three, the priority being breath is the biggest one that we take for granted, to take advantage of for the most. But if you look at the law of averages for the average human being on the planet, we will take 670 million breaths in our lifetime. And with wherever you are in your life at this point, you might be halfway to that point. But either way, wouldn't you like to have more? Number one. And don't you want every breath you take to count? Now, as I mentioned, breathing is voluntary and it's involuntary. Typically, it's involuntary because it just happens. When you come to a class like meditation that I teach at the wellness centers, we start with breath. And by beginning with breath, it gets you out of the busyness of the mind of what's going on out here about how you got to class or how you got to work. And just by simply focusing on the breath with your eyes closed, you begin to disengage from the outside world. You begin to disengage from the mental disturbances that are kind of driving you batty. And when you step out of the anxiety, you step out of the panic, and you step out of what's driving you crazy, you actually put yourself into a position where you can actually watch what's going on in your life from a witness perspective. So you're no longer just tied to what's going on. You're not hooked by it. You are observing it. And just in that alone gives you that space to make more conscious decisions from a place of response versus reaction. Okay, makes sense so far? Thumbs up? Awesome. Now, when it comes time for breath is a force. It's medicine for the body. It's a mechanism that yogis have used for millennia to really cultivate almost a superhuman power in the physical body. And I mentioned yogis because, for those millennia, yogis and the sages from Eastern cultures understood the importance of diaphragmatic or belly breath, because it's that belly breath that helps to counter that fight or flight response that comes from the sympathetic nervous system. It's that fight or flight that is stirred by the amygdala. And it's that fight or flight that has us holding our breath. Now, interestingly enough, there are forms of breath. There are different breath techniques, but when it comes time for breath techniques that are specific and voluntary, those will nourish our brains. Those will make us healthier. It gives the body the opportunity to heal from inside. But when we are involuntary breath, and this actually points to most people who are just mouth breathers, if you are only a mouth breather, you are actually killing your neurons in your brain, and you're hastening your expiration date in life. So when you have voluntary breath that is conscious in and out of the nostrils, or in the nostrils, out of the mouth for specific practices, you are nourishing your body. And remember, in and out of the mouth alone, you are hurting the body, okay? So the question becomes, really, how long have we been breathing badly? As individuals, we will have started breathing badly by the time that we began to observe the world through our likes and our dislikes. We learn how to breathe from watching our parents, our siblings, our family, our teachers. But when it comes time for breathing badly, I would have said historically that most women have the tendency to breathe improperly. Men would have the tendency to breathe properly. And that was an assumption on my part based upon the idea that also as a woman, that we are so body conscious. We buy clothes that are too tight or one size smaller because we don't want to look overweight. We don't want to look fat in the eyes of someone who we're trying to attract. For centuries, we had corsets, we have pantyhose, we have all these images that are in media that say you have to be a size 2, and your wrists have to be the size. If your finger can go around your wrist, then you're doing really good. And that's just a complete and utter illusion. And my assumption then also was that men were better breathers than us because they didn't care if their bellies hung over their belt buckles. They didn't care about that. But as I've continued to study in the past 10 years, I have found that and discovered that if you look at the global population, we're looking at 90% of the global population does not breathe properly. And this is a result of an disevolutionary process from the industrial age, which would have started around the mid 1700s. So as we let go of using tools to work and turning to modern machinery, it actually made us lazier. And as we've gotten lazier, it's actually changed our whole facial structure, where once our olfactory system, which is about the same size of a tennis ball in the center of the face, was perfectly developed, and we had great teeth. We didn't snore. We had flatter palates. Our tongues fit in our mouths. Our teeth were straight. All these things that we had historically, pre-industrial age, began to change as we began to change. And as I said, we had an evolutionary process as human beings, which then became disevolutionary. So if you look at the amounts of people who suffer with sleep apnea, who have our heart attack rates are up. I mean, all these different things in health and wellness are counterintuitive because we're just not breathing properly. And once we return to that, we will stabilize our health and wellness. So when you look at how things have progressively gotten worse with our breathing habits over the years, again, this is aggravating a long list of chronic diseases, whether you want to look at asthma, anxiety, ADD, psoriasis, heart disease. I don't know about Alzheimer's and dementia, but I would say that every disease that's really on that top list these days is part and parcel tied to the fact that we don't breathe properly. And if you have somebody who you work with who's in pulmonary, who might say, doesn't matter how you breathe, just breathe. Pulmonary, by the time they are in pulmonary, they are reacting to emergency situations. So when it comes time for education, I would say look to the ancient yogis who kind of knew what they were doing and we're kind of reprogramming ourselves today. So when we are able to focus on our breath, we actually can hack our nervous system. We can hack our immune response system, and we can actually restore our health. We can actually put ourselves back in the driver's seat of our lives and really improve our health and wellness and give ourselves peace of mind. It is so easy. Now, when you look at deep breathing, and when I say deep breathing, I mean using your full lung. So I'm sure many of you understand that our lungs are massive in our bodies, literally go from the collarbone all the way down to the belly, like at the base of the rib cage into the pelvis. Very, very large organs that we have in our body. So when I say breathe deeply, that means that your belly is going to expand when you breathe in. Why? Because you're allowing air to go all the way down into the full lung. When you breathe deeply as an exhalation, that means you're also intentfully pulling your belly button back towards your spine. And this is assisting the lungs in getting rid of all that stale air that's been held in the body for so long. And if you figure that we have the ability to release 70% of the toxins that are held in our physical body just by breathing properly, this is what's going to help to increase your metabolism. This will also help to have you burning extra fat because you are actually engaging intentfully the belly, which is engaging the diaphragm. So you are stimulating your digestive juices. You're speeding up your metabolism, and you're actually exercising an area that doesn't really get a whole lot of attention unless you're in the gym doing sit-ups, okay? And this is a vertical sit-up I'm talking about when it comes time for breathing. So when it comes time for, again, breathing properly, we are improving our blood circulation. We're getting more oxygen into the body. By having a longer exhalation, we're actually building up carbon dioxide, which is actually good for the body in many ways. It helps to tone the abdominal muscles, and it really begins to change even your rib cage. It will change your posture. Your shoulders will be held back. You'll be higher in the chest. So again, the opportunity to release 70% of the toxins through breathing, this is how you can actually lose weight. In Ayurveda, I would say when you focus on intentful voluntary breath using these techniques, you can lose 2 pounds a day in those toxins. That's phenomenal for your overall health and wellness. So as you can understand now, perhaps changing how you breathe will not only help you live longer, it will help you live longer better, as you would say in Blue Zones. Now, part of my background comes from functional medicine, and functional medicine is anyone who has been an MD in traditional medicine who went beyond looking for the root cause of where all these diseases and illnesses are coming from. And in functional medicine, we look at the pillars of wellness from stress, sleep, relationships, nutrition, and exercise. Excuse me. But for me as a practitioner of functional medicine and a health coach in that arena, I have actually added breath work to my pillars because I have now 6 pillars, because recognizing how important breath is was a game changer for me. And if you were one of my students or you have one of my clients that I coach and work with, I can tell you if you stopped any one of them on the street to ask them, you're in the middle of a panic attack, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling really, really stressed, and you're under pressure, and there's all this and all that, and you're all the way out here with all these distractions, and you would stop them and ask them, what would you do in those moments of all this? They would say to you, Yvette would tell me to breathe. Or they would stop and they'd say, well, what would Yvette say? Yvette would tell me to breathe. Focus on your breath. And it's the thing that can take you from panic so debilitating that you can't even drive your car to be able to handle those panic attacks while you're actually driving your car and get to where you're going peacefully, calmly, and completely focused. So knowing how to breathe, you might be saying to yourself, well, I've been breathing my whole life. Why do I need to change how I breathe? Well, if you have any kind of illness, any kind of recurring anything, you're not sleeping well at night, your blood pressure is high, you feel overwhelmed, you're exhausted, then I'm going to say that if you have any of those things going on in your life, then by changing how you breathe, we'll begin to counter those illnesses or those problems that you're facing, okay? So just a quick thing about how I came to breath. Just like you, if someone had said to me over 10 years ago, you want to change your mind, change your breath, and I've been like, whatever. But quite frankly, I was at a point in my career, I was working on board cruise ships, and I had a viral bronchial infection, one that was so bad that I was in my cabin. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was coughing so hard that I lost my breath. And when we deal with, what's been going on with COVID and people losing their breath, I can so relate, because I had one of those moments where I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I could end up dead. I have nobody else in the cabin with me. I was by myself. And how would I call for help? How would I call 911? It scared the crap out of me. So in the morning, I did my job. I was up and out of my cabin around the ship, did my work, and then I went to the infirmary where they gave me a nebulizer, and they gave me steroid shots in order to get my lungs to open up. And that was so frightening for me. That was actually the last contract I ever worked on board ships full time. And although I stayed in the industry, I stepped out of corporate and I went to go live in an ashram. And it was in this ashram where I lived. And this is where for 3 years, 7 days a week, every single morning, we did breath work. And at the time, our focus of our breath work was a technique called Kapalabhati, which is not one I'll be teaching you today, but it was such a powerful one that it actually worked the infections that were still held in the lower lobes of my lungs. It worked all that old crap up and out of my lungs, and I was able to cough it out. And I've been breathing bigger ever since. And I got to tell you, my husband is a free diver. And when I first met him, I thought, how in the world can he do that? Because I was a very shallow upper chest breather. And how he could breathe, that he's like the man from Atlantis. And I thought, well, in my competitive spirit was, darn it, I'm going to learn to breathe like that too. And we can actually retrain ourselves. We can actually learn to breathe properly. And it's actually just returning to a state where we knew how to breathe when we were born. And here's the interesting thing. If anybody is a parent, even a grandparent, and you've watched babies breathe, you just kind of watch your baby breathing and just making sure that they're with you, right? How a baby breathes is how we were born to breathe. And the average inhalation, so a proper breath, is 5.5 seconds inhale, 5.5 seconds exhale. That is a balanced breath. That is a natural breath cycle that we were born to do. That's what our bodies know how to do. So if you ever want to test it out, get your smartphone, get your little timer on there, and see what 5.5 seconds of an inhalation feels like. And I'm going to bet for most of you, it will be foreign. It'll feel weird because you're not used to breathing so deeply. So we're going to start with some breath techniques here. I'll give you a couple of ones. But what I want you to begin with, though, is wherever you are seated. If you're driving your car, please don't do this, obviously. But if you're anywhere where you can sit down, if you're at a desk, just push yourself away from your desk for a few moments just to give yourself some space. But I want you to find yourself to have a comfortable seat. If you have your legs crossed, uncross your legs, put both feet flat on the ground. A sense of grounding yourself, centering yourself is a really beautiful thing. So once you found your seats, I want you to close your eyes. Just follow my guidance, okay? So I want you to begin to bring your awareness to your sits bones, a sense of connecting to the chair, the seat beneath you. I want you to find a nice straight spine, a sense of following the energy of the spine from the tailbone all the way up the spine and out the crown of the head. Drop your shoulders, relaxing them away from the earlobes. Feel your neck getting nice and long, your chin parallel to the floor. And right here, just relax the jaw, unclench the teeth. With your eyes closed, find your breath. Just find the rhythm of your breath as you are right now. Find that rhythm, and then just slowly begin to lengthen your inhalations and exhalations. Perhaps playing with the 5.5 seconds. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Exhale, 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Just find that rhythm and just notice how you're breathing. Just notice your breath. And allow your breath to deepen. Okay? And all I want you to do is just become aware of how you're breathing. No judgments, no comments, no inner dialogue, no need to be perfect. Just allow yourself to relax. Okay. Now from here, open your eyes and just scan the body. Just see how focusing on your breath, just even for a few seconds, can begin to change how you feel physically in your body right now. So the first technique I'm going to teach you is called boxed breath or breath squared. And this is a really great one that you can do seated, but it's beautiful lying down. This is actually something you would do at night, and it would replace counting of sheep, because counting of sheep starting from 100 down will only frustrate you, whereas this will actually put you to sleep. All right, so find your seats again, nice comfortable seat. Close your eyes. And then wherever you are in the breath cycle, exhale fully now. And then when you go to inhale, inhale to a count of 2, exhale to a count of 4. Inhale to a count of 2, exhale to a count of 4. And do that 5 times. And then when you're ready, inhale to a count of 3, exhale to a count of 6. Inhale to a count of 3, exhale to a count of 6. And now increasing the count, inhale to a count of 4, exhale to a count of 8. Inhale to a count of 4, exhale to a count of 8, and continue until I ask you to stop. By now, you're feeling your lungs expanding a bit in the chest. You might notice your belly expanding a bit with deeper inhalations, and you may feel the need to use the belly to pull that belly button back towards the spine in order to release the air from the lower lobes of the lungs. Really exhale fully. We're going to go one step further, inhaling to a count of 5, exhaling to a count of 10. Inhale to a count of 5, exhale to a count of 10. Continue until I ask you to stop. There's no hurry. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. Just be with your breath. Knowing that counting gives the mind something to do while the body relaxes and gives the chance to restore itself. Deepening the breath one more time. Inhale to a count of 6. Exhale to a count of 12. Inhale to a count of 6. Exhale to a count of 12. Now here, you might notice your mind kicking in saying, this is impossible. I can't do that. So surrender the mind, just watch the mind, and allow the body to do what it knows what to do naturally. Breathe. Allow yourself to breathe. Now allow yourself to have your breath return to normal, and gently open the eyes. Now if you were to scan your body from the crown of your head to the tips of the toes, you're going to notice a sense of calm, a sense of deeper relaxation from when you started with 2-4 and finished with 6-12. And at night when you go to bed and you're having a hard time sleeping because your mind is full on in chatter, start with a 2-4 and progressively work your way to 6-12, even 7-14. And just do them in sets of 5 if you can. It doesn't really matter if you lose count. It doesn't matter. Your body will just begin to adapt to a natural rhythm with it. But you really want to have the longer exhalations. You'll have a sense of almost holding your breath out at that longer exhalations. And this is where you're releasing all that old stale air that's been trapped in the body for so long, and giving your body the ability to be infused with oxygen and have that relationship of oxygen, carbon dioxide to rebalance itself in the physical body. So that's what they call box breath or breath squared, but it's a really nice technique. We have another technique I can teach you, which is alternate nostril breath, otherwise known as Anum Vilom or sun moon breath, depending upon where you are. Again, seated. I would not do this one in bed lying down because your arm will get tired. But you're going to use your thumb and your ring finger, okay? And you're going to alternate closing off a nostril. So if you start with me here and using your right hand, is close off your right nostril, inhale through the left, close off the left, open the right, exhale. Inhale through the right, close, open the left, exhale. Inhale through the left, close, open with the right, exhale. Inhale right, close, open the left, exhale. Inhale left, close, open the right, exhale. Inhale right, close the right, open the left, exhale left, open the left, close, open the right, exhale, and continue at your own pace as I walk you through some more of this. What's beautiful about this breath technique is it is going to reset the autonomic nervous system naturally. This is one that balances the body perfectly because the right nostril represents the sun. It's warming, it's energetic. It represents the cortisol, which is something that we need in our bodies and in our minds to get us through our days and keep us moving forward. The left nostril represents the moon, which is cooling, it's soothing, it's relaxing. So you're releasing, tied to your dopamine, your oxytocin, your serotonin, that's the left. Hence why it can rebalance the autonomic nervous system naturally, organically. And you continue doing this. You can do it with the eyes closed or eyes open. I prefer eyes closed because you shut out the outer world. All your attention goes inward. You focus your attention and you begin to find yourself being pulled down into a state of peace. That's something that is a wellspring that lies within you naturally. So this breath technique is one that will help you exponentially when you have a lot of stress going on, a lot of distractions, is use this alternate nostril breath. And it will begin to relax you, refocus you, and then you can come back to your projects with a fresh mind. Now, with this breath technique, as I mentioned, it's one you would do seated, not lying down. You can do it in the car, you can do it at the office. The right nostril only, if you are tired and want to invigorate yourself, you can close off the left nostril and breathe in and out only through the right, and that will give you some energy. If you are hot and bothered, just close off the right nostril, breathe in and out through the left. And this way you will have, your body will cool down, even its core temperature. So to remember which one, L-E-F-T, 4 letters, moon, 4 letters, left. So you can remember which one is the cooling one and which one is also the warming one. So that's the alternate nostril breath, just to let your breath return to normal. Open the eyes if they were closed. And you, again, a sense of feeling your body adjusting and resetting itself. Now, the last technique I'm going to show you is one that if you have high blood pressure, you definitely do not want to do this because it's going to jack up your blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, stick with the first 2 that I taught you. The sun moon breath is especially helpful for anybody who has high blood pressure or hypertension. The last I'm going to show you is called Bhastrika breath. And this, if you are a coffee drinker, you can do this one in the afternoons. This can actually replace your coffee. And I say that because if you have any problem sleeping at night and you're drinking coffee in the afternoon, it's actually, the coffee is inciting the lack of sleep. Whereas a Bastrika breath is, or otherwise known as bellows breath, will give you the energy without giving you the side effects of caffeine. So you can actually use this throughout the afternoons when you feel sleepy coming back from lunch, for example. You've had a high carb meal. And this was one you can actually do standing up or sitting down. But if you're not used to it, definitely do it sitting down, because the amount of oxygen coming into the body can make you dizzy. And this is actually breathing in and out only through the nostrils, tied to the arms. So what you're going to do is bring your arms up, your elbows are parallel to the floor, and then you're going to inhale, lifting your arms up, exhale, down forcefully. So inhale up, exhale, down forcefully, inhale up, exhale down forcefully. So inhale up, exhale down forcefully. I'm going to do that 30 times fast. So here we go. Inhale. Eight more. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the arms, close the eyes, and just feel the tingling sensations that are happening in the body. You may feel a sense of dizziness from the force of the inhalations and the exhalations. That's perfectly normal. And then open the eyes. Now, this is one you can do it in the beginning, is do a set of 10 and then pause like we just did. A set of 10, pause, 10, pause. The shorter breaths will begin to work you up towards doing longer breaths. It is good to do in rounds of 30, though, to really invigorate the body. But again, if it's something that's new, or if you feel like a lot of dizziness during the pause, then you definitely want to back off of that and do in groups of 10. But again, if you have high blood pressure, please, please, please do not do this one. Focus on the alternate nostril breath, sun moon breath, or that squared breath I just taught you. But the Bastrika breath is something that will help you. As I said, you can do it standing up or seated, but it will give you that sense of bliss, actually, because it seems like the oxytocin gets released in the brain, and you just have this awesome feeling of sensations swirling through your body. But the more you begin to become conscious and aware of your breath, the more your body will thank you. And the more your mind will be less of a monkey mind. And so when you begin to focus on your body through your breath, you put yourself back in the driver's seat of your life. Your mind is no longer in the driver's seat. It's in the passenger seat, which is where it belongs, because the mind is our servant, okay? You are the master or mistress of your own life. Let your mind serve you, and stop being the servant to the mind, and you'll be a much happier person. Well, I've gone about 5 minutes over my time. I put my email address in the chat box. Does anybody have any questions for me? Feel free to drop in the chat box. Oh, you're very welcome. And also in the beginning, if this is something that's brand new to you, give yourself 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. And honestly, if you are someone who is, you go home at night and then you go into the house and there's tons of kids and this and that and a million things going on simultaneously, and you haven't shut off your day from the drive from the office to the house, just sit in the car for 5 minutes and just, focus on your breath before you walk in. It will really help you disengage from the busyness of the day to allow you to focus completely on your family, which are your loved ones. So I thank you for joining me today. Keep breathing, everybody, and feel free to email me. I'll drop my phone number in the box too. It's a 615 number, but I'm very text friendly. So if you ever need a breath reminder or a breath class, let me know. I'm happy to help you. And again, I know what it's done for me in my life, so I'm happy to share with anyone and everyone. So thanks for sharing space and sharing air with me today. Have an awesome weekend. And again, thanks for joining me. I'll see you at the next webinar. Bye, everybody.